I don't want to scare anybody. Like machetes and axes, that's like scary.
There was a guy trying to pee in our washer machine.
Okay.
And I was like, hey, the guy was huge.
Makes sense.
Super tall. And I was like, hey, what are you doing? And he's like, and he started yelling at me, and I cannot repeat what he said. And he was going off, and he had this machete. He wasn't at me, but he was kind of waving around. I was like, you gotta go. Get out. Get out. My husband was like, oh my God.
People are waving axes and machetes at you. Like, what is going on over there? That doesn't happen at every laundromat, but also if like you're gonna buy a laundromat in certain areas, like crazy stuff like that can happen. You've got to have the right mentality and personality to be able to handle something like that. And if that's not you, then you should think about the location that you want. You want that laundromat if you want to buy one. Hey, what's up, guys? It's Jordan with the Laundromat Resource Podcast. This is show 183, and I'm pumped you're here today. Today, we have Michele on the show, and this is genuinely just a down-to-earth, just awesome interview. You're going to love it. A lot of really practical stuff, a lot of really like insightful conversation that we have about what it's really like owning a laundromat. So we have a really, really great conversation, a lot of really practical takeaways, and a lot of really cool things that Michele is doing to help her grow her business. And so I know you're going to love it. Cannot wait for you to jump into it with Michele. And right before we do, I've got an announcement with a big winner for our marketing partners contest for a free website and full branding package. That's coming right now. All right, you laundromat lovers, this is the moment we've all been waiting for. Over the past few weeks, many of you have entered the Business Marketing Resource giveaway for a free website and a full branding package. Complete game changer for your laundromat business in 2025. First of all, huge thank you to everyone who entered from me and from Business Marketing Resource. I love seeing how many of you guys are committed to really just excelling, growing, elevating the whole, to use Dave Mentz's word, right? Elevating the whole industry here and elevating your own businesses, taking them to the next level. And that is what BMR, Business Marketing Resource, is all about as well. So today we have got the grand prize winner that I have the privilege to announce, and they're about to boost their business massively. So drum roll, please. Congratulations to the winner, Jacob Himmler, owner of Squeaks Laundromat in Greeley, Colorado. Jacob, you just won a professionally designed website and a full branding package from Business Marketing Resource. Congratulations. It's the ultimate toolkit to elevate your laundromat, attract more customers, and make 2025 your best year yet. So Jacob, keep an eye out for your email inbox. The team at BMR will be reaching out to you shortly with the next steps. Get your website off to the races. And hey, look, selfishly, I am hoping that this website transforms your business and that you come on the podcast and share your story about how it worked. That would benefit me. That would benefit you. That would benefit Business Marketing Resource. And most importantly, that would benefit everybody who's listening, trying to grow their businesses. So congrats to you. And listen, everybody else, I know, listen, this is sad news that you didn't win the grand prize. However, you may still be a winner of one of the secondary prizes that Business Marketing Resource is giving out. So they will be reaching out to those of you who won the secondary prizes, big discounts, possibly a poster of me in Speedo. I'm not sure the details on that one yet, but that could be one of the prizes for the last place winner. But anyways, everyone else out there, if you didn't win, sorry you didn't win. However, it is still a great opportunity to check out buildwithbmr.com and take your business to the next level with a new website, new branding, marketing on social media, on Google, wherever you're doing the marketing, and let them help you take your laundromat to the next level. All right, so that's our big announcement. Let's roll into this episode with Michele. Michele, how are you? Thank you for coming on the show.
Well, thanks for having me.
Well, listen, I am super excited, especially, we were chatting a little bit before we hit record here, and I'm super excited. You're kind of in one of my old stomping grounds, and so I'm excited to hear what's going on there and what's going on with you. So why don't you give us a little bit of background on who you are and then maybe how you got into this weird little industry of laundromats.
Well, I'm Michele Replogle. I do live in Santa Cruz County. And in 2020, we bought a laundromat in Scotts Valley, which is adjacent to Santa Cruz. So it's not super close by. It's about 10 minutes away. And we were just looking for an investment. And we got this kooky little, well, it's not little, it's huge laundromat.
Awesome. Is it huge?
And I don't know. It's a big storefront, though. It's a very big. It's actually a pretty big area. I've been asked the square footage of it before, but it's big.
Yeah, cool.
I think at least 2,000 square feet. I think.
Yeah, I've been to Scotts Valley, and I mean it's really pretty area. Well, when I lived up there, I was on the peninsula, so I kind of almost sort of passed through Scotts Valley to get to Santa Cruz.
You absolutely have to
try
go
to get to the beach, so awesome.
So when we bought it, it was super depressed. It had really bad lighting. It was dark. It had this crazy wallpaper that looked like a 12-year-old's bedroom. It looked like it was supposed to be under the sea. Okay. And it was probably really cute at the time it was put in, but it was really, really just dark and depressing. And it had when we bought it, it had a video playing of a TV with a video tape that goes in the TV, and it played ocean stuff throughout the day.
Oh.
And the day we bought it, that broke. And it's not like you can even get a TV and a video again and then it was just a bizarre thing.
Yeah.
And we thought it was kind of quaint, but once we started really being in the laundromat and understanding what was going on, so we were on the tail end of COVID, so we had a lot of really afraid people wearing masks, being very nervous about being around other people. It was just a really scary time for everybody.
Yeah.
And it was just like, you just go in there and you just felt really it just didn't have a good vibe to it. So my husband, who's an electrician, right at the very beginning, put in new LED lights, took out all it had some fluorescent lights, but the previous owner believed that by not putting new bulbs in there, he would be saving energy.
Yes.
He did not know that the ballasts continue to suck the energy, even if you don't. So we put in LED lights. Then we started talking to some distributors about getting new equipment because it's all really, really old equipment. All of it was old. We got it at a fair price, I think. I found it on a really weird little business for sale site. It wasn't even on one of the bigger ones like LoopNet or anything like that. It was just this weird little listing. And I just wanted to invest some money into something more concrete. I was a little nervous about the stock market.
Why laundromats?
It just seemed like a thing. I had no idea. When you bought your first one, were you just like, oh?
Yeah, I had no idea either. Yeah, I just thought it was a great idea too. I had a friend who actually up in the Bay Area who bought a laundromat and was killing it. He was crushing it. And I was like, oh, that sounds awesome. I'll just do that. So that's what I did. It didn't work out like that for me, but that was the idea. And I was like, yeah, this sounds interesting.
I have a client. I'm a real estate agent full-time. And I have a client who just does really well with a couple of them over in Santa Clara. Mm-hmm. Big money, really big money.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're doing better. Since we started with the lights, then we started with a little bit of new equipment. Then we had it painted. We took all the wallpaper off. And
sad, the starry night or the waves under the ocean.
Is just water bubbles or something. Yeah. And then we got a logo. We put some stuff on the front. I've got a new sign. And one of the things that I would say really stood out to me is that women felt safer there after that.
What was it that made them feel safe? Was it just the new stuff and the lighting?
The lighting.
You guys being around more? What was the? Yeah,
we were around more. I would regularly for a while go up and just get people out. I'd been threatened, I'd been yelled at, and I didn't care. It was my business. You have no right to be here. And then once they got the message and it got out that, you have people that are going to confront you, it got better. But a funny story, and I did a blog on it, was we put in cameras and I kept getting notifications something was happening. And there was a guy taking his clothes off in the back of the laundromat. And he was having a problem. And so I watched on camera as he was being taken away by the cops. But then right after that, so we had the cameras in, but right after that, then we had somebody who, I think it was right on Christmas Eve, actually, went in the bathroom and stopped it up with a bunch of needles.
Oh, no.
Christmas Eve.
Oh.
So I came home and I was like, no, this is not going to do. Went on Amazon, found a door lock, put a door lock on there. People have to get a code to use it. So they have to go through. There are people that have gamed it. They still use the bathroom and not use the laundromat. But that whole idea that they actually have to go through something to use the bathroom just curbed all of that. But they have to put in a name or a phone number. So by texting me to ask for it, I have their phone number. So it really cut down on so that's another reason some of the women felt safer, is we got rid of that element.
Yeah, which is not easy to do. You're telling these stories, right? And I'm like, man, this is like weirdly paralleled. Like my very first day that I came, my first full day I walked into the laundromat and there was a woman there completely nude, washing all of her clothes. Yeah. And I was like, what did I get myself into? That was my welcome party. And then you were talking about the toilet getting stopped up with needles on Christmas Eve. I had a toilet get stopped up with a potato on Christmas Eve. That I had to go.
We like to live in parallel.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's so funny, but it's true. And like I always talk about like one of the difficult things if you're in an area where you're dealing with people hanging out that shouldn't be hanging out, doing things they shouldn't be doing at your laundromat, is like, it's this fine line of making it uncomfortable for them to be there while making it comfortable for your customers to be there. And that's a tough balance. And, it's hard to sometimes get those people from out and get them stop hanging out at your place and seeing it as a place where they can go. And it takes some of that confrontation. Sounds like you had some confrontations with people, which is not easy.
We would go in there. They'd have their radio plugged into one of the outlets. They had coffee, like they were hanging out, like it was their cafe. And I was like, no, you got to go. And they would get mad at me and I'd be like, no, bye, But I want to get back to the code on the door only because people were really, really angry about that. They gave us so much grief about it. There was the incontinent elderlies that I had, made their life harder and all this stuff. Now people text me for the bathroom code and say, hi, thank you. We love this place. Like just complete 180 about the experience they're having now. They didn't like it at first, but they like where it went. And when we go there, there's always that question like, are you the owner? And you're like, do I want to say yes? Or
yeah. I'm not sure. Do you have a problem?
Why? But now it's like, yeah. And then they'll tell you, oh my God, it's so much nicer here. We love this place. And we used to come here all the time, but they stopped coming. So we're a lot busier now, but we had to go through this whole, last 4th of July, somebody was texting and I was driving and I couldn't get to him. I gave him to my husband. Within 7 minutes, this man had taken an axe to one of our washing machines, broke the glass. There was glass and blood all over. When we got there, he was gone. The washing machine was full of glass. We just took that washing machine out. We could never guarantee that glass wasn't still in there. He totally just... So, and I kind of felt like that was the crescendo. Like we kind of went through all this experience and all these things that we've been doing, but I kind of felt like that was it. Cause then after that, it just kind of like everything kind of smoothed out. Like that was it.
Oh, thank goodness. Good
But there's
grief.
always something. Well, there was the fire, and there was a fire. I got all these calls that the place was on fire, and my employee just, oh my God, we're on fire. And we go there. I go there. It was just a motor. By the time I got there, it was out. It was fine. So much drama.
Yeah, I know. It's true. I mean, and listen, you sit down and you talk with any laundromat owner who's been an owner for any length of time, and you've got stories like this. And I don't know that if you got, axe stories from everybody, but crazy stories. You encounter weird stuff at laundromats sometimes, for sure. That sounds a little extreme. Bloody axes and stuff, but you do get a lot of weird stories at laundromats. We tend to attract, weird things, I guess, for some reason.
And people really see it as a public place, and you have to, when it's left like it was, those people got that idea reinforced. We had to come back and go, no, we're the owners, and these are the rules, and this is not public. And part of that was through the bathroom, changing how they use the bathroom. I mean, most laundromats don't even have bathrooms, but we got told all kinds. And first, we checked the law too to make sure we weren't required. I mean, that was a big deal and everybody was so mad at us. And now when everybody seems to think that was a good thing.
Yeah. Well, most likely what happened is the people who were mad at you were the people who were misusing it, and they probably ended up leaving, which brought the people who should be using it, and they're happy about it. That's probably what happened. So good on you. That's not easy to stand your ground on that when you're getting a lot of negative feedback, though.
It's hard. Pretty hard. Yeah, we kind of tiptoed around, but now I like to go there. I like to go and sweep up and clean up and kind of poke at people a little bit, like, hey, shut the door, pick up your laundry sheets,
yeah,
in a kind of casual way, like, it's,
yeah.
Be cool, but it's still, I like to go clean up and see what's going on. We had a vending machine we put in that totally vexed my poor husband for a year. I mean, it was just one thing after another kept breaking on it. I mean, just to get the vending machine off the truck, I wrote a whole blog about it. It's hysterical. This man almost killed himself with this vending machine. He wrapped the cord around himself and the machine and was going to somehow get off the truck. And I was just going, oh my God, I want to leave. I don't even want to watch this. What if this man dies? I mean, and that was just the beginning. And then after that, every little piece and part broke on that thing. And we were just trying to provide a service.
But did he get it off the truck? That's what I want to know.
He got it off the truck.
Of course he got it off the truck. Come on.
Got it in.
Of course he did.
But it didn't work. And then he didn't have the keys. He didn't have the right keys. And and today we don't make any money off it. It really is it's just cost. But it's a service we want to provide, and people do like it. So we struggled with that. We had our boiler break, $30,000 boiler. Fun.
Oof.
But when they opened it up, this is why I want to say this on the podcast, to encourage people to not be afraid. It was expensive, but when they opened up the wall, we found a blocked off drain that actually was preventing some of our machines from getting the air gap that they needed to drain properly. It was stuffed full of stuff. So when we pulled out the boiler, besides actually, we think the other boiler wasn't working for a long time, really not that well. And when we put in the new one, it was you can kind of tell by how the soap trays are cleaner, right? Because the water is actually hotter. But when we opened the wall up, we started to kind of discover stuff. Then we had some of our drain issues went away. So on an older mat, I would say try not to be too afraid of change, because that change might be solving a problem that you're having you don't even know.
Yeah, that's great advice right there. And that's something to, another kind of checkbox on the checklist of things to be looking for. And, as issues come up and stuff, checking some of this old the old piping or the old
Yes.
electrical or the old machines or the old boiler, whatever, like when you're buying an existing laundromat, you are inheriting, stuff that you don't know you're inheriting a lot of times.
Kind of like buying a house.
Kind of like buying a house, but maybe even sometimes worse.
Oh, it's worse because there's nobody. I mean, I called my favorite plumber to look at it. He said, well, you need to redo all the drains up to $60,000. And I was like, well, that's not going to happen. But it turns out probably they do need some work on them. But really that main problem was something we unearthed somewhere else. But I would recommend getting a plumber that you love, that you can call. I have one I can call. He's been there 2 Christmases trying to keep me open.
Well, I had to go unclog a toilet on Christmas Eve from that potato because I called the plumber and he went out and he said, oh, there's something solid in your toilet, and promptly left. Said he wasn't going to do anything about it. And I was like, well, that's why I called you. I know there's something solid in there.
Why did they put a potato in there, though?
I don't know. But I had to pull here I am, Christmas Eve. I pulled the toilet out. I pulled it into the parking lot, and I'm digging out a toilet out of this thing. Luckily, it was in the toilet itself and not down in the drain somewhere, which would have been worse. But, just weird stuff. Weird stuff going on.
Weird stuff. I had somebody, somebody got their clothes stolen, and we watched it on camera. They contacted us and said that happened. And we were like, well, we're really sorry. We don't even know why. You just watch this woman just walk up and just take this stuff out of the dryer. And we were looking at it and we're like, we're not sure to this day if they didn't know each other, because it was like a rug and a shirt. I mean, it was just weird. I don't know. That was kind of one of the weirder ones. Then they wanted us to call the police. Then we called the police, and the police said, fine, but we need to talk to them. And then we told them, and they're like, oh, no, we don't want to talk to the police. And it's like, okay, you have issues with the police, but you want us to, and we're like, okay. Yeah. But the other thing that blows us away about our laundromat is how many people come and put their clothes in and leave.
Yeah.
Just flat out get in their car and drive away. We don't get a lot of complaints about stuff being touched, but it's kind of a thing that everybody does. And then last night when we left, they were all in their cars. Like they're not, and that's fine, but it's just like, if something happens, this is your clothes. I can't leave my clothes.
Yeah. No, I know. Well, I mean, I think that temptation is there, right? To go do other things, but you leave yourself open to clothes getting stolen. But also the other issue, kind of coming from the owner's perspective or other customers' perspective, is sometimes people who do that and they don't come back for a while, like hours. And then that eats up a machine that can't be used while they're gone. And if it's a Wednesday mid-afternoon, okay, maybe no big deal. But, if it's busy, then you got to make the call, or another customer has to make a call to take the stuff out. And then there's potential for conflict. And, so it's a real thing. These are all the little things that people don't really talk about before you end up buying one that you're like, I'm not sure.
Well, that's the other thing too, is that we were buying one that was kind of dying, and then we started reviving it. And then you get problems of people, like a lot of people using it. Like it wasn't very busy before. So we were able to just kind of, fix a machine here and there and kind of maintain the status quo. And then we got it busier, and then we have that, and I'll go there, and my big machines where we make our money are just sitting full of clothes. It's really hard not to take those clothes out. I'd say too bad,
Yeah. It's tough. Well, and, I think one thing, it sounds like you've done a pretty good job of this. And, I've said this before, and this is a big lesson I learned is, it's a lot easier to rehab the laundromat than to rehab the reputation of the laundromat. So getting all of those, the people who shouldn't be there out, and then for word to get around that that's no longer a place where people who shouldn't be hanging out are hanging out. That's tough to do. That's tough it's tough to get the people out, and then it's tough to change that reputation too. But it sounds like you're on your way to doing that, but it also sounds like it's taken a little bit of time.
It has, but I do pretty well in real estate. So actually at some point, really a lot more income really wasn't in our best interest at this point because it's just more in taxes.
Yeah.
But I like it. I think it's kind of fun, but there's still kind of, you can't go on vacation for more than about 7-8 days. We have a friend that helps us to come and collect the quarters, and she loves to do that, which is so funny. We pay her, but she just loves to do that. She'll go up there and kind of take the quarters around. And then we changed a lot of the key boxes so we didn't have a million keys. We got a huge box of keys. It was like this big, full of keys.
Yeah.
We started going through them. They were 40 years worth of keys. There was maybe 10 in there that were for
something.
And we thought, well, we're probably doing the next owner a favor by really throwing a lot of stuff. I mean, part of the thing we're doing for them is throwing this stuff out, really finding out that it doesn't go to anything. And just like we cleared out the whole chase behind the dryers. Oh, that's the other thing. We had to take some of the dryers offline that were very, very popular. They were super old. I think I could make more in selling the metal out of them than having them running.
Yeah.
And people were so mad at us. They were just so mad at us about that. But then they started using the new ones and they discovered they dry better.
They actually dry. Yeah.
You don't just throw heat at it, right? These big heat bombs. It's actually, circulation of the airflow and all that. We've had to tell them too is, it doesn't get as hot. It's a different idea of how air flows through your clothes and how it, it's not just super heat. And because they'll go put their hands on the dryer glass, right?
Yeah.
Check the heat.
Yeah.
And they like the other ones because they can feel the heat. And we're trying to tell them, no, that's not how this works.
Yeah. It just makes hot water in your clothes.
You pull them out and they're just warm, hot clothes. That's exactly.
Yeah, that's funny. Well, I mean, it sounds like you got a lot of pushback about different changes you were making and all that. Like, how confident were you that the changes you were making were the right changes with that? I mean, that sounds like you had a lot of friction there.
We had a lot of friction. We have a lot of regulars. I have to say, I think we weren't getting some support from some people very close to the business. Mm-hmm. And I think that's turned around. I think that's what helped where we are now. I think that they're a bit more supportive. Some of the regulars were very grumpy and kind of give us side eye, and now they're very nice and welcoming. They do like it. They do like all the changes. But yeah, it's tough. I mean, when people don't like what you're doing. And I just thought, you know what? I've learned a lot of marketing from real estate. I'll go get more people. People need to wash their clothes. There's more of you. I'm sorry. You don't like it? Go over there. And for a while, we were telling people, if you don't like it, we're okay if you leave. And I can tell, I mean, if I really went and looked from all the people that asked for the bathroom code, I can tell the people that told us they were never coming back have come back.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure. Well, and that's the thing, right? It's like, people have their opinions, their routines, their habits. And when you change them, it's uncomfortable and they get upset. And sometimes you just need to hear them out, right? And just need somebody to listen to them. They need to feel heard. And once they do, then, or maybe they leave for a time, but then, then they end up kind of coming back and coming around. And then some of them, not so much, but all customers are not created equal. Right. And so being able to say to the wrong customer, hey, it's okay if you leave, or I prefer it if you leave, even maybe not to their face, but, it sounds like a counterintuitive thing because it feels like you're, sending business away. However, there's different types of businesses, right? There are businesses that cater to, the people who are looking for the lowest price and who are going to complain a lot. And then there are people in businesses who cater to a different clientele where the atmosphere is different and it's not going to be like that. And we're not going to just, mold the whole atmosphere of our business to you because you complain. And sometimes it's better to let customers go, fire them.
Yeah. And by doing that, often you create a better experience for a larger majority of people. Because what we also noticed when we first bought it is the people that were really the grumpiest were the people that were used to having it themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't very busy. So we had two guys. One of them, he always seemed really mad at us. And then I kind of figured out he had the place to himself.
Yeah.
On a Saturday morning. And he didn't like anybody else coming there. His biggest complaint was not, that it was dark half the time because it was so dark in there. It was just, now there's people in there. And he never said that, but I kind of figured it out because he started going earlier and earlier. We open at 7. He's there at 10 to 7 because the doors actually open a little early.
Mm-hmm.
And he's out of there by 8.
Yeah.
So he still has kind of his alone time. But we kind of figured out some people it was like their space and they kind of owned it and they could kind of rule over everybody that was in there. Like, this is my table, these are my dryers. And they don't get that anymore. And I think that was a big thing when we first did it.
Yeah, that was like my least favorite quote unquote compliment that I would get from customers early on there. It was like, oh, we love coming here. I'm like, oh, great. You love coming here because there's never anybody here. And I'm like, well, damn, that's like, why'd you say that to me? That is like the meanest thing you could say right now. I'm trying so hard. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. People can be really, really tough. We owned a rollerblade business in a skateboard town. So we know it about adversity.
Yeah.
Being in real estate, there's always kind of a 90% you guys are okay, 10% you guys are the worst people in earth. So, I mean, it's still sales. It's still, and so I don't know. I just kind of figured out that I really wanted to redo the floors. And part of that is just because I want it to look cleaner and people bring their kids and stuff like that. And there's a lot of dirt underneath the layer because of how old the flooring is.
Right.
It's going to be pretty expensive to do. But there's a vision I have for it still just being a really nice experience. And most people go, oh, you keep it so clean. I'm like, oh, it could be so much cleaner.
Yeah, yeah.
You know how that is.
Yeah. Well, that's the curse of it's your own thing, right? Is like you're always going to see, I don't know, like I did some work on our house and everybody's like, oh, it looks so good. And all I can see is, the one tile that's a little off or, whatever it is, like that's all I can see. But, in a way that's a good thing, right? Because that helps us continually improve. And the opposite's also true sometimes where we become blind to the things we just see every day. And so sometimes having, what I call an outside eyes audit, having somebody who doesn't come there all the time come and give their honest impression can help us see things that we become blind to.
Yeah.
Too.
One of the advice I give in real estate for people, sometimes I say, if you're not sure of your property, how it looks or smells, which is huge, bigger than people think, have a friend come over and let them honestly tell you what they see, or don't have me do it, but have somebody, give you some honest feedback.
Yeah.
What was I going to tell you about? Oh my gosh, I forgot. So when we got the laundromat, there was a lot of older equipment. We've been replacing that as we go and just trying to afford it. But that's where I was going to go. We don't really make a whole lot of money, and we owe some more money just for getting new equipment. But I've kind of figured out a way to get some equipment, make some sales, get some equipment so we're not so heavily in debt. But that's really helped us get busy, newer equipment, stuff that doesn't, break or fail. In fact, the drain issue I mentioned at the beginning, that we didn't know that the machines that we kept having trouble with were probably having trouble with that drain.
Yeah.
We put in new machines that get used a lot, and we're not having that trouble anymore. Of course, the axe to the one. Oh, and the foam pillow. Have you had a foam pillow yet?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, those are good. We never got it out. That, in fact, both machines we had to replace. One from the axe, one from the foam.
Foam pillow. Oh my gosh. Yeah, my other favorite is like the bath mats and stuff with the rubber backing. I don't know if you had that, but that rubber stuff at some point disintegrates and it just goes everywhere and it's like impossible to get it all out.
Or the beads. Oh my God. Can I just be a poster? Please don't use beads. Sometimes I'll just sneak up to people and go, they don't work.
Yeah.
They just don't work. That's my biggest complaint. Number one is they're being sold something that doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
But then the mess.
Yeah, everywhere. And then people put them in the dryers and then they go through the dryer holes and they get stuck to the lint traps. And you're like, God, man.
And they don't do anything.
They don't do anything. I know. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare.
Then I went on a deep dive of soap, and I won't get into any brands, but some of the soaps I feel are so toxic, and people are putting that on their clothes. That just drives me insane. The chemical toxic mix that they're putting on. Just in the last year, I started carrying all no dyes, no perfumes. And that started to pick up in sales, which I'm very encouraged by. Yeah,
that's good. And I mean, honestly, you're in a really good area for that. I feel like Northern California in general is more sort of conscious of that, more open to that than a lot of other parts. But I agree, man. I think, and like not just in our detergents, it's like our food and like everything right now.
Oh my gosh.
It's craziness. But I love that. And I love kind of giving people that option and helping people become sort of more aware of, and conscious of like what's going on, in our little niche, right? Just laundry. And here's one thing, here's one option for you that's going to be a little bit better for you and your family, that you're putting on your skin. And, we absorb stuff through our skin and, so.
Yeah. And I also got a TV given to me by a client, and I do a monthly slideshow. So about 100 slides of stuff for the month, like January.
In the laundromat?
Yeah. So if you're sitting there, there's a few things to look at. There'll be jokes or trivia in the slides. Sometimes I try to do history. History's pretty hard because I have to cut and paste it. And a lot of times where history is not in a really good space. So
you can get negative pretty quick.
Yeah. But I do like for January 29th, it's got puzzle day, so it says happy 20, and then in between all that is take the change out of your clothes.
Yeah.
Don't overstuff the washers,
Public service announcements.
Yeah. Kind of, we need quarters. We're having somebody take our quarters again right now.
Yeah.
We're on that. You know how you kind of go up and down with that.
Oh, yeah.
So then I'll put in an extra slide saying we need quarters, and then we'll get more quarters. And then the local SPCA sends me slides of available pets.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And then we like dogs, so we're okay with dogs there. And most of the dogs are really well behaved. We have a few favorites, but we got a complaint a week ago that said, there was a dog here and the dog peed and the person didn't clean it up. And we were like, oh. And then there was a dog in the grocery store, and then there was a dog. There's just dogs everywhere. And the complaint just said, why are there dogs everywhere? And we're like, well, we can't fix that for you.
I don't know.
And I'd have to say we're probably going to stay more of a dog friendly. And if you don't like it, we'll probably be okay with you going somewhere. For the most part, whenever we've been there, the dogs have always been really well behaved. I had one dog, and I just said to the lady, I go, your dog's just barking a little too much. It's just hard for everybody here. And then I said, I imagine that maybe that they're not enjoying this. And she just put the dog in the car, and it was fine. The dog was not into it. And then the same thing happened with another dog, and the dog really just wanted to be on a leash. They put the dog on the leash. They were fine.
It's fine. Good. Yeah. Well, I mean, I love dogs too. Obviously I've always had dogs, and kind of a dog person versus a cat person, I guess. All cats are okay, but is there? I'm just thinking out loud here. Is there like liability issues or insurance issues with that? I don't know.
I think you just have to say they're supposed to be on a leash, and you have a sign up that says they're on a leash. And then if they're not on a leash, then that's on the person.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, that's something to think about. There's a stool that my employees stashed for people who are too short to put soap in. And that just freaks me out.
Yeah. It's hard because like anything can be like a liability. Really. It's hard.
Yeah, we want to put in a bar in front of the window with some stools. And, my husband's like, well, they're going to steal the stool. And I'm like, oh. He's like, I want to, secure them to the floor. And it's just like, oh, once you do that, though, you have no autonomy.
Yeah. But it's true. It's hard because you want to do things, but if it's not bolted down, at least in my laundromats, man, if it's not bolted down, and sometimes if it is bolted down, I've told the story before. My son saved his money and bought a gumball machine. And so I made him a little sign, Noah's Gumball Land and stuff. And we installed it. We did a little like mini opening ceremony and
oh my gosh,
super cool. He was super excited. We have a photo of it and bolted it down and everything. And literally the night that we put it in, somebody came in, tied a chain around it, tied it to their truck and pulled it out of the laundromat like that night. So we pulled it the next day. He was excited to check it and stuff. And I saw when we parked, I saw in the rearview mirror that the thing was gone. And I was like, oh man, and I'd have a little business lesson with them. But like if it's not bolted down, people will walk off with them. And it's just unfortunate because, then people can't enjoy it. Like most people aren't going to walk off with it, but the few that would just kind of ruin it for everybody else. And,
Yeah, that's why we don't have an ATM. But we did put in Tanger Pay, which is a amazing system for people. So it's a pass-through. They don't need an app. And that really was great because it took away at least half the cash. So people have another way to pay. There's a lot less cash running through the store. I understand all the people who get laundromats that don't have to do with that. But for us, we were going up there once we started getting it busier, before we could get it settled, we were up there all the time. The change machines kept going out. So that actually helped us a lot. But the other thing is the Tanger Pay with the cameras and the bathroom actually give us a way to kind of keep an eye on the wash, which is nice. My husband's really fighting the urge to put a speaker in to go, don't do that. Do you have a speaker in yours or did you? I had two-way cameras. I know people have connected up like Alexas and stuff like that. But yeah, absolutely. There's something to be said, especially if you're going to have an unattended laundromat, to be able to communicate with people inside your laundromat, whether that's somebody calling because there's a problem and I can kind of jump on and, see what's going on. And, I guess I'm on the phone with them if they're calling, but if there's something going on or somebody's having a problem and I just happen to be looking at the camera, I can say, hey, like try the next change machine or go to this machine and I'll start it up for you or, whatever, or, get out of the store. You're not supposed to be here, whatever the case may be. I think lately my husband's is, don't sit in the dryers. That's what he wants to say.
Yeah.
Don't sit in the dryers. We don't take calls. We only take text messages.
Yeah, which is smart. I like that.
The call, we can't because we get sucked into their drama and they get so worked up. They need that time to actually text to calm down because they kind of freak out. And then sometimes when they freak out, just that moment that they're texting is when they figure out, or they have to sit with it for a minute when I say, well, you didn't close the door like we're looking at on the camera. We know what happened. You did not close the door right. know, we have two machines that say, if you don't shut the door, it's not going to go. But yeah, there's been some ways that we've been able to kind of manage keeping an eye on it. So yeah, between the changing the lights, painting, we repainted the bathroom because it had the same wallpaper craziness in there and cleaned it up. And we've put in some new machines. We got the Tanger Pay, the bathroom lock. We kind of got it to a system. And eventually, maybe it'll make money, but the overhaul on the equipment is still fairly costly. I don't know how these people do these big builds.
You got to do, I mean, when you do the big builds, you've got potential to bring in a lot of customers, but you've got to go all out. Like you've got to go after every possible customer, because obviously you've got a lot of liabilities, too, when your costs are so high. So you've got to do a lot of volume and be aggressive with it. Have you guys done any advertising or anything at all?
You know what we did that actually kind of worked is, I don't know if you remember much about Santa Cruz, but you have to come over a mountain to get here.
On the 17.
So in the mountains, there's a lot of people that have septic systems and they can't use their washer and dryer because of that. It's too hard on the septic. Mm-hmm. We didn't know that when we bought it. We didn't really understand where the clientele was coming from, but we were there enough that we started to see who was kind of using it. Then I advertised on a little radio station for drive time, for when they were driving home from work, to remind them that we were there. And basically it's the tiniest spot, but it just says new equipment, mobile pay, just kind of some of the conveniences that people are looking for. And that was able to kind of give us the boost that we needed, but also it really worked for people who come and camp here. Mm-hmm. And then we did Facebook ads, which I'm going to be actually stopping the Facebook ads this month, because I've hired a marketer who's going to be more active on the website and with Facebook. So I don't think we need the ads as much. But that's what we did for promotion. We probably could have done more, but really, to be honest, at the beginning, I really didn't want more business. I needed to figure it out. I know people do that. They come in and they flood it, but with business, but you can't figure it out. You can't figure out your clientele. You can't figure out the machines and how it runs and works. And it's really better to leave it slow for a bit for me to get a handle on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you hire a marketing agency, or did you just hire like a freelancer or somebody to help you with marketing?
Yeah, she's a freelancer. She works for me doing my real estate stuff.
Oh,
so
cool.
I knew she was kind of getting antsy and would like a few more hours. So I said, well, why don't you start doing this? It's kind of a new project, and then work on the website. I had some new photos. Once we kind of cleaned it up and did it kind of nicer looking, then I had a professional photographer come in and do photos and a little video, so we'd have some promo materials. But
I love that. I mean, I think everybody should do that for their laundromat. Get it cleaned up, get it shining, get it sparkling, and have professional photos. Because you can use it all over the place, right? You can use it on your website. You can put them on, your Google business listing. You can put it on social media. You can, create flyers with, just all kinds of different things, ad images or videos, with it. So I think that's a great idea to do that.
Yeah. And the Google presence, that's kind of tough. We've had a few people write nasty reviews, and sometimes I just don't go look at it, because it's like, oh, you're just impossible to please. You know what it's like to run. And then there's we really probably should raise our prices again, and I just don't want to.
Yeah.
It just sucks.
It's hard, I know.
And they yell at us, and it's just like, you want to say, but this doesn't make any money.
Yeah, I know.
We need profit.
I know. Well, that's what's hard about it too, right? Is like, and try to be empathetic, right? Like everybody's getting squeezed from all angles.
Everywhere. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All angles. But, our businesses are no exception. Like we're getting squeezed too. Our utilities are going up. Our rents are going up. Our labor costs are going up. The machine costs are going up. Financing costs are going, like everything is going up. And if you don't keep up with that, I get it. Like it's emotionally exhausting to raise the prices. But if you don't, you're not going to be able to stay in business for too long, because you're going to fall behind.
Yeah, it pays its bills, but yeah, it's that part's still a little tough. We had to raise the price on the soap from $1 to $1.25, and people just literally lost their minds. And we're like, we're not making anything on 2 of the soap brands. We don't make anything.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, I think it's pretty fun. My husband's retiring from his job. He is a union electrician, and he's been doing all the maintenance. So we probably would have been out of it earlier if we didn't have him fixing the machines. They're really hard to fix machines. He's really clever, and he can figure it out and order the part. And fixing some 40-year-old Maytags that are just... And people love them, and they're a favorite. We can't figure out how to reconfigure it. We kind of feel like that might be for the next owner. We just don't think we're up for that. We're putting in some new dryers, which we already bought. We're going to put them in April. And then we want to put in a few more newer machines, but they're just so expensive.
Yeah. The costs are high. It's
really crazy. We talked to a few people about buying some used ones, but it's so sketchy buying the used ones. I mean, it might be easier for you down south, but for us to go down there and go to a warehouse and go, are we getting scammed? I don't know. That part I don't know.
I mean, it can for sure be hit or miss. Yeah. I mean, obviously the pros of that are that they're going to be less, expensive. But there's cons that come along with that also.
We can't seem to, when we talk to them, though, we kind of can't seem to get the exact age. And that's, for some of the machines, we already have old machines. We don't want to be replacing them with what we already have. We want newer, but it doesn't seem like we can. That's always the hard information to extract. So we've just been buying new.
Well, you should be able to determine the age if you get the model and the serial number, and then you can call the manufacturer or a distributor of that equipment.
The thing is, they're sending that to us, but when we get down there, the guy wanted us to wire them. I mean, it was like $20,000, and we would go pick them up and stuff. And it was just like, I don't know. It just didn't feel right. It probably was. I think it would have been easier down there if we could just go and check them out. And then but we're so far away.
Oh, was it in Southern California?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me know. Maybe I can hook you up with somebody who can go look at them for you before next time.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's about all I have. I guess I should end with the guy who came at me with a machete. Would you like that story?
Yeah. What?
There was a guy trying to pee in our washer machine.
Okay.
And I was like, hey, the guy was huge.
Makes sense.
Super tall. And I was like, hey, what are you doing? And he's like, and he started yelling at me, and I cannot repeat what he said. And he was going off, and he had this machete. He wasn't at me, but he was kind of waving. And I was like, you gotta go. Get out. Get out. My husband was like, oh my God. And I don't know if he called the police or I called the police, and the police came and said, were you scared? And I was like, no. And they're like, why not? I was like, he didn't bother me. I just wanted him to leave. And my husband's like, and they were like, were you scared? My husband's like, yes, it was horrifying.
You're a little scary. You know why? Let me tell you why you're a little scary. Is because you seem so laid back and calm, but you're feisty. Like you're like low key feisty over there. People are waving axes and machetes at you. Like, what is going on over there? And you're just like, get out of here.
Yeah. Well, if it's my business, I'm kind of mama bearish. So, that's where I've had issues with customers too. I'm just like, yeah, you got to go. I mean, I'm not taking this, but so far the clientele seems to appreciate it. But putting in the cameras, this is another takeaway for your newer shop owners. Cameras are key because the cops will come when you have cameras. They won't come when you don't. And they told us, like, the very first day we called them, we were having a problem because, I mean, literally as soon as we bought it, every bad thing just kind of started coming out of the woodwork. And we called them and they're like, hey, do you have cameras? We're like, no. And they're like, okay, we'll be there later. Now when we say we have cameras, bam, because they know they can prosecute. So It's really, really helped. And then on the slides that I have on the TV, it says there are cameras and it says they're not for show because the other guy put them up and didn't hook them up to anything. Everybody figured that out.
Yeah.
So we were like, these are for real. We will use this.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. Pro tip. Two other ones for you regarding that. Number one is I put a TV monitor up that just shows all the cameras. And that lets people really know that they're on camera and being recorded, and it deters. It does not fully deter, I will say. Some people just don't care, but it does deter. And then the other one, this is a lesson learned the hard way, is make sure you keep the box that actually records in a very secure location. I literally had people rip down a wall in my laundromat and sort of pillage back. There was nothing really back there, but back behind the dryers. And then they actually they cut all the cords and stole the recording box. So there was no video evidence. They had the video evidence.
Ours is cloud-based. So
yeah, which mine was not this was a while back, but yeah, that was cloud-based. So better pro tip.
Do you still own this one now?
I just sold that one.
That one sounds crazy. Is that the gumball one too?
Gumball. There's some stories of it. I don't share a whole lot of them, especially from early on when I first took over. I was literally in a gang war when I first took over. It was literally gang turf, and there's some crazy stories from that one. But I try not to scare people. Like I want to share some of the stories and stuff because they're fun and interesting, but not typical of owning a laundromat. I don't want to scare anybody. Like machetes and axes, that's like scary. That doesn't happen at every laundromat, but also if like you're going to buy a laundromat in certain areas, like crazy stuff like that can happen. You've got to have the right mentality and personality to be able to handle something like that. And if that's not you, then you should think about the location that you want. You want that laundromat if you want to buy one.
Right.
Because that's real, like crazy stuff happens.
It is crazy. But so far, so good. I mean, I like it. We're going to only keep it another couple of years. We really want to retire. So we're not going to stay in it for much longer. But we think we've upped the value enough that we could find somebody. We have great landlords too, by the way. Yeah.
Well, that makes a big difference too. Did you have to do any like lease negotiations or anything?
No, I think you might have to this year, and I think it's next year we'll have to renegotiate.
Okay.
But so far it's been, I think what we have is not too bad.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure the landlord appreciates you trying to clean the place up, literally, but also demographically a little bit and making it a little safer and more pleasant place to be. That only benefits the landlord, right? Adds value.
Well, they understand the landlord actually feeds into a lot of the shopping center too. Because a lot of people that come there to do their laundry, do the grocery shopping, they do all kinds of shopping while they're there. So they understand it's kind of a piece of their pie,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, hey, this has been a lot of fun and very informative too. I mean, aside from the crazy axe and machete stories, which were the fun parts for me, just you shared a ton of really great information, and I really appreciate you sharing your story and the good, the bad, the ugly, the violent, all of it. And also, I'm glad that you guys were the ones who got in there and got after it, and were able to sort of deal with. I'm sure it wasn't easy, going through all that and, having to deal with a lot of this stuff and, still struggling to sort of make money. That's hard. It's hard.
Yeah. When you're not getting a real income, sometimes it seems kind of thankless. That's for sure. But
yeah. And people complaining on top of it, which has gone down, thankfully. Yeah. Good.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on. And I do want to hear more about the Alexa hookup. That's something we have not quite figured out yet.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a few different ways to do it. And, I've seen some people explain exactly how they've done it on I think on the Laundromat Owners Facebook group. There's a bunch of Facebook groups.
Yeah.
But I think it's that one, the one that's run by Ross Dodds. I think I saw on that one, somebody showed how they set up their Alexa, and they use it also to control a lot of their smart outlets and devices that they have, like their lights and their fans and stuff like that they had too. So
yeah, we're going to put fans up this year, so that would be good to know. Okay, I got to look that up.
Yeah,
we're in there every once in a while. I'll just see ridiculousness stuff, and then I'll log off and have to go. Okay, it gets a little.
Sometimes you got to take that camera app off your phone so you're not, not looking at the cameras too much. Or
yeah, there are just some funny things that people say, or that I think I got a hard time when we put the bathroom lock on. They thought that was crazy, and then I said, well, we want to hook up music. We want music to play. Why do you want music to play? It's like ambiance, it's kind of nice when it's. So.
Yeah. Can't please everyone though, you got.
Well, they're not coming to my mat, so I don't care. Anyway, well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
No, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. You're welcome anytime. And also anybody out there who's listening who might be in the area or moving to the area, Michele is realtor.
Yeah. Hook me up. Find me at Live the Santa Cruz Life. I've got a whole YouTube page that I'll explain real estate and I won't explain laundromats.
Awesome. Well, yeah. And especially like if you're thinking about going to that area, you need somebody to explain the real estate for you, because the whole area up there, not just the Santa Cruz area, but that whole Bay Area, it's a lot of just unique little spots, and there's all these little nooks and crannies that you don't know about.
Yeah, the content is endless for how much is going on here for sure.
You'll never run out of content, especially in Santa Cruz. I mean, you'll never run out of content there. It's too exciting. Too exciting. Awesome. Well, thank you again for coming on and sharing your story and your wisdom that you've hard-earned wisdom, I will say also. Yeah. And if you ever start, teaching axe and machete defense classes, let me know and I will be there and I will promote it for you for sure.
Thank you so much.
All right. I hope you loved that interview with Michele just as much as I did. And listen, as always, find anything and put it into action today, if possible, definitely this week. That's what's going to help you achieve your goals. So whether that's taking out a radio ad or rebranding or whatever it might be, find something out of that episode, put it into practice as we keep stacking that every single week, taking the right actions consistently. That's going to take us exactly where we want to go in life. So take some action this week and we'll see you again next week. Peace.